This is the Flywoo Cinerace20 analog version 1. I was able to get this at a local marketplace, so I thought I might as well just give it a quick review so you might be able to know how it flies and feels. We will go through the specs, indoor flights and outdoor flights, and I'm going to share some of my final thoughts. Who is this Cinerace built for? Let's go. As this Cinerace is an older model, I'm just going to list the specs at the description below. Do check it out if you're interested. Let's just talk about the design, as I think this is a little bit more interesting. As you can see, the Cinerace has an interesting design that the entire frame basically is constructed from two big pieces of ducts, which the motor mounting racks is built in, and the rest of the components are mounted separately on a single piece of carbon fiber. And even the camera mounting is different as a separate piece. So unlike other manufacturers, which generally will put their motors on the carbon fiber, they decided to put it on the ducts. And I think mounting the motors on the plastic duct itself might be beneficial to reduce jello, as you're kind of separating the vibration of the motors to the camera. This is just me guessing, I might be wrong. Also, the Cinerace has a pretty nice default tuning, and that might be a reason why that there's no jello in the footage. But anyway, I'm done guessing, let's just go fly this. As I'm only allowed to fly my drone in the garage, all I can show you is circling around and flying through some race gates. But I just want you to know it is completely possible to fly indoors. I have added a naked GoPro 7 on top to get better footage. For this setup, carrying an extra 25 to 27 grams is not a problem at all. You can feel it slightly heavier, but it still flies just fine. I would say the extra large ducts do give me some peace of mind when flying indoors. By adding additional foams onto it, it's nearly impossible to dent your walls whatsoever. And by how good the props are covered, very unlikely that you will be hurting someone or your pets, unless they are sticking their fingers right into the ducts when the propellers are spinning. But overall, very well designed safety protection. Do know one of the downsides for such a steep and big duct is that when you get too close to a wall or your ceiling, you are going to get stuck towards it. This is not just for the Cinerace20, but will apply to most of the cinewhoops. The bigger the ducts are, the easier it might be sucked towards something. Anyway, as this is a 4S quad, it does give quite a big punch, so to fly indoors, all you need is to adjust your camera angle to nearly 0 or around 5%, so the speed becomes just right to fly smoothly. I would say this makes a very good practice drone if you're trying to film real estate related content or just simply fly for fun. Also, the volume of the Cinerace flying is kind of moderately loud for indoors, especially if you're flying in this at a concrete garage. Sounds are just going to bounce around and can get quite annoying. Just want to let you know. Okay, let's talk about the outdoor flights. Current footage are still coming out from the same naked GoPro 7, and outdoors I do see there are two options to use the Cinerace. Number one is to use it as a cinewhoop, and number two is to use it as a race drone. At least this is what was advertised on the Flywoo website. For cinewhoops, you can still keep the cam angle low for slow flying. For the size of this thing, it does fly pretty good and stable at outdoors, and you can certainly capture some pretty nice good footage as long you are attaching a nice action camera, or might be simpler if you are getting the O3 unit version, which I do think the O3 is good enough for leisure footage works. Same as all other smaller size ducted drones, the Cinerace20 does not handle wind so well and can be easily blown around, which is not surprising at all. But overall, yes, I think this is still a pretty good practice drone to start with. Next, we're taking off the GoPro and adjusting the camera angle to 30 to 40 degrees. And we're just going to see how good this thing can race. And I'm taking out the naked GoPro is due to I just don't want it to accidentally damage it when flying fast. And I also want you to be able to see the analog footage that I'm seeing. Jumping from the GoPro to this is a big downgrade, but you can certainly still see with no problem at all. And by my surprise, the Cinerace is actually pretty agile and it actually flies like really well. You really don't feel there's any drags with the big ducts. Saying of ducts, I'm just going to give the ducts another applause, as when you are ducted, less fear of breaking something or hurt someone when you crash. For the volume, the noise as outdoor It's much quieter compared to indoors as the sounds are no longer bouncing around between walls, but definitely can be heard if someone is trying to take a nap, so pay attention when you are flying around your neighborhood. Overall, I never flew a real race drone, so I cannot tell you if this is anything like it, but this does fly pretty decently and I have no complaints at all. So alright, we are done with flying. Let's just head back to the bench so I can share my final thoughts. Back to the bench. To be honest, when I first saw the Cinerace20, it does not look cool at all. To me, it kind of looks like 4 pieces of Japanese red bean cake combined. But after I flew it, yeah, I think I really liked it. It is really a decent flying whoop. And I also like what Flywoo is trying to do by fitting into the gaps between each class of FPV drone. And this is a good combination for the race drone and the cinewhoop. As for who this drone is for, I would say it's very beginner friendly as the ducts are super strong and durable. Very good for indoor and outdoor flies and performance, and you can certainly crash and practice a lot with this without worrying breaking stuff. And after you become good, you can still keep it in your fleet and start practicing for real estate shoots or just go race with your friends. So I think this drone will certainly last really long in your FPV journey. Anyway, these are just my thoughts, and if you see a different view, please let me know in the comment section. I will see you next time. Bye for now.